Today I'm here with Dr. Louis Patler, award-winning author, speaker, and consultant. Louis is president of the BIT Group, an international consulting and strategic research company that also does corporate training. Louis is here to discuss with us the surfer rules and how they relate to business strategy. You've made an analogy between the rules of surfing to running a business. What exactly do you mean by surfer rules?
Well, for many years, I guess we've all been hearing the analogy that running a business, a startup with .com today is a lot like whitewater rafting or surfing. So at one point it struck me that maybe I ought to go to the source. And so having grown up in Southern California and having surfed a little bit, I then took advantage of some opportunities and started talking to surfers and asked them about the mindset that they have, the way they look at the world, the way they look at the ocean, and that would help guide anyone in terms of how they have to work today in today's crazy world of work.
So there are 8 surfer rules that you suggest people follow. The first 3: decide to ride, no dare, no flare, and expect to wipe out daily. Could you tell me how these relate to running a business successfully?
I started with square one, which is the first thing you have to do if you're going to surf is you have to decide to surf. You have to decide to take that ride. You have to decide to do it. So there's a decision to be made right on the front end of things. You have a lot of other choices in life, but one of them is to get out there where the waves are turbulent and unpredictable, just as the world of work is today. Then you have another choice. Are you going to do it with some daring and with some flair, or are you going to do it the same old ways? And these days, the obvious answer is you can't do it the old way. You have to figure out what works for you, who you are, and how you fit into that work environment. And then the third one of the surfers' rules is that you have to expect to fail. You know, even the best surfers are going to wipe out several times on any given day, even several times in a row. The trick is to learn each time a little bit here, a little bit there, to understand the conditions, the waves, your own strengths, and to build on those and figure out how to develop a relationship with the ocean, not try to conquer it.
The next 2 rules are never turn your back on the ocean and keep looking outside.
Well, the ocean is a formidable place, and also the ocean, to my mind, in a business context, is kind of like customers. They're out there, there's lots of them. They even form waves and patterns and markets, and we use other terminology for it. But frequently what happens in business is people forget who their customers are, or they take them for granted, worse still. And so the part of this metaphor is that you just never ever turn your back on the customer, and you never turn your back on the ocean either. In the real ocean, of course, if you do that very often or for very long, you're in trouble. Same is true in business. As to always looking outside, in surfing, the term outside refers to the wave behind the wave that's right in front of you. And so in business as well as surfing, you don't just look at the wave that's about to break, the one you think you're going to ride. Just before you take off on that wave, you glance behind you and you look at the wave behind the wave. That's the one you need to pay attention to, because that's the one that's going to either be bigger and has more opportunity to it, or it's the one that you're going to face head on when you come up out of the water from the one you took a ride on.
The last 3 are the waves are in the water, never surf alone, and passion rules.
Well, the waves are in the water is probably one of the more obvious ones, which is to say there are no waves on the beach, and yet a lot of us, a lot of time, we spend sort of sunbathing and greasing ourselves up. We don't ever really get out there where the action is. And if you don't crave that action, if you don't have that curiosity in you, if you don't have the discipline to go out there day after day, even when the weather isn't perfect, when you're not going to get a tan out of it, when you have to wear a wetsuit, metaphorically speaking, day in and day out, you have to stay focused and get out there where the action is. And furthermore, we don't have to, as the surfers know very, very well, we don't have to do it all by ourselves. You need to collaborate. You need to have people around you. You need to figure out how you will never, in fact, surf alone. There's actually a couple of reasons that surfers never surf alone. One is, you know, there's the proverbial reasons of safety and power in numbers, and people can help each other out in a pinch. That's still true. But the other part of it is you have somebody to talk to. In Hawaii, they would say talk story. somebody to share the experiences, to relive them and also learn from them, somebody to just be a friend and a colleague, and someone who can, keep you good company on the way to the waves and the way back from the waves. And lastly, passion rules. Ultimately, none of these other 7 things are going to matter at all if you don't have that fire inside you that really makes you crave being out there in the water, out there on the waves, day after day after day.
You've worked with many Fortune 500 organizations. Have you seen any examples of successes with employees adapting the surfer rules thinking?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one of the benefits of doing what I do, which is to sort of track things early on, is that when I started to look into this metaphor of surfing and the analogies and so on, wasn't that long ago, and now it will probably to your viewers seem like old news almost, in the sense that what I've just described is really the startup mentality. It's really the mentality of the mindset that you'll see in a lot of the companies that have endured through duress and through the hard times, that have been innovative for a long period of time. They do all of the above. They really, in a sense, have built into their culture the basic tenets of what I'm calling the surfer's rules.
And how about old economy companies? Do you see themselves trying to reinvent themselves with this new way of thinking?
Sometimes I see them trying to reinvent themselves, but for the wrong reasons. They think they need to reinvent themselves, so they try to reinvent themselves, but they don't have that passion, they don't have that fire inside them, and so it's not like it's destined to fail, because they have a lot of resources they can throw at something, but they can stave off failure longer. But if they're slow to enter, they're often also slow to exit, and so you run into these situations where, unless they have their own equivalent of a startup mentality within the bricks and mortar context, they're going to have a tough go of it.